One way to save this data would be to create an additional table that includes information about the settings for the history block that we want to store, but also some metadata, for example, when it was created and the user that created that block as well. So what we're going to do in the next step is add a new table to our module, but we're going to do so through an update function, which will allow us to push out database changes to a module that already exists. So let's go ahead and jump to our module directory, and let's open up the 7th step, which is for the trails.install file, and it's called add second table. Go ahead and copy all of the code and paste it over the code that's currently in your trails.install file and save it. So if we were working through a normal development process, what we would do is create a new table to store the settings for our trail blocks, and then we would run that through the schema module, just like we did with our first table, and copy that output. But what we do with it at that point is going to be different for a module update than it is for a module installation. The reason is that the install function only runs when the module is installed. So if we want to update modules that are already installed, if we add our schema to that function, it will never run. Instead, we need to use a special type of hook called an update end hook, and this is how it works. So let's take a quick look at our install file. We have our install function, our uninstall function, and our schema function. All of it's pretty much the same. Our next function is new to this file, and this is called trails_update_7001. And this is an implementation of update n, hook update n. The n is a variable number, and the database keeps track of this number so that it knows where to start updates from the next time the updates are run. The convention is the current version of Drupal, the current large version of the module, and then an incremented number starting at 01. So our next version of this would likely be 7002. And in this, we can add any schema changes that we want to make, as well as run any adjustments that we need to make to existing tables, for example. So what we're doing here is I have already created the schema through the schema module of our table that's going to store the trail block configuration, and I've just pasted it here. The next line allows us to add the table through what would normally happen during a install process. And this function is called dbCreateTable, and we're passing it the name of the table, and then we're passing it the schema structure, and that's going to be right here. So, in order to run this, we need to run the update.php file on our Drupal site. So make sure that your install file is saved, and then jump back to your site. And in the path, go ahead and type in update.php. There's some information here just to make sure that you've backed up everything before you move forward. I'm going to hit continue, and this will show us what updates we have. There's just one because we've just added one, and it gives us a little bit of information here. Adds trail table. Note that this information is coming from the comment above the update function, which is why we didn't use the typical convention that we would normally use above a hook function that says implements and then the name of the hook. Because that value will be pulled into this information for our update, we want to make sure it's descriptive and not just an implements statement. Okay, so this is the update that we want to run. I'm going to go ahead and click Apply Pending Updates, and we're just going to let it run. Once it's done, we can go ahead and jump to our database manager and refresh it. And now you see we have our new table here. And what I've done is set it up to store a trail ID. So this is just a unique ID for each trail. we have some settings, which is a serialized array of settings. So basically, we're taking an array, serializing it, and putting it in this column. The UID of the user that created it, when it was created, and when it was last changed. So both of these are timestamps. Any update functions that we add to our module, and we can keep adding them as we add improvements or make changes, will get run during the install process as well. So any updates that we make will also get passed through in the initial install. So if some people are using the module and they need to update, and other people are just installing it for the first time, you don't have to worry about supplying two different processes for them both.